Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another review of Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 7, Dominion. Hello. This one, I wasn't too sure if I was going to do this one. That's why I'm doing it in the evening. They will return to the morning next week. I was thinking about doing 7 and 8 together because, quite frankly, not the strongest episode in the series. Just saying. It's not. It is not. It is heavy with exposition. I do believe the explanation for this was time constraints and budget. Still, some things I'd have done differently. Some things I would have done differently, but I'm just a guy. I would say I don't usually give grades. It's like a 5.5 out of 10, maybe a 6. Next week is a little better, but I think the whole series would have been better off if it was just 9 episodes, because this was one episode, and this can be argued, one episode stretched over 2. So they're best watched back to back. I was fortunate enough to see them back to back, and it worked better than me just finishing watching it weekly with the lovely Mrs. Nerdrotic. She liked the episode. She liked it. So welcome. Who do we have here? We have the Ben C, Peter Smith, Umazur, KC252, Beep Bop Boop, Caleb Reynolds, as is Wonky Eyebrow. Is that ever going to get worked out? Well, I think it's wonky because he watched too much Batwoman, and he's watching Gotham Knights, and that stuff will give you strokes. It will give you strokes. I had to just lay off the CW. I think I reviewed the first 4 episodes of the first 2 Batwoman seasons, and I'm like, I'm out. I think it's a good time to talk about this. As far as the pop culture war is concerned, which is a thing, whether people want to say it or not, there's a zeitgeist, right, within this. And there are battles within it. And, well, many battles are lost. Let's be real. But the overall battle is something I think we all want to win as fans. And despite detractors, and there's always going to be detractors, it's part of the game, which they actually help. Can I, quick aside real quick, when they are constantly responding to tweets, when they're constantly responding to videos, it does nothing but help, because it creates interaction. And I think a couple that I've seen have complained about seeing my videos recommended to them all the time. Well, stop freaking watching them. That might not totally help all the time. I'm not really sure. If I told you I had figured out the algorithm, that would be tantamount to figuring out a woman. I believe it was the late, great Robin Williams who made the joke, the last man who truly figured out a woman died laughing. Ladies, I love you. You're complicated. We're not. Big difference. You feed us. You give us some good sci-fi. A little sex once in a while. We're good. We're good. Very simple creatures we are. Very simple creatures. But the ladies are welcome. All 9.9% of you. Trying to get it up to 10. Really trying to get it up to 10. We'll see. It was at like 6.9. Hey. But as far as back to the zeitgeist of the pop culture war, where does Star Trek stand in the zeitgeist? It doesn't. It simply doesn't. When Alex Kurtzman was renewed back in 2021 out to 2026, that was kind of it. We said our piece. Star Trek Discovery, some of, if not the worst written show. It's the worst written science fiction show in the history of stories. And we're going back to caveman paintings and woman on 40,000 years ago in France. Remember that great scene in History of the World Part 1 where the guy like paints on the cave and then the guy comes up and pisses on it and it's the world's first critic? I love it. I love it. But as far as like the pop culture, cultural zeitgeist and the battle for Star Trek, it kind of ended that day. I hate to say it. I don't want to say. I wanted Alex Kurtzman to be fired. He should have been fired. He is terrible at his job. But Paramount, the bankers at Paramount, none of them who watch this crap, none of them who understand Star Trek or science fiction or apparently good storytelling, like the man's consistency. He was able to get content out on their sewage content machines. And, well, it hasn't paid off. Now, of course, we're not going to bury the lead. There was a big announcement. Just going to say I knew this announcement was coming. And it's cringe. It is beyond cringe. So that's why I will repeat again, like I have said for every one of these reviews. And thank you for those of you who've actually bothered watching them. I find it best that when I'm going to cover, react, get in depth, review, comment on particular items of pop culture, particular TV shows, books, even games, films, I find it best to actually watch them. If you want some inside scoop of the secret to covering pop culture, it's best to watch it, no matter how good or bad or mediocre. So today, they announced this. Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. Oh, and this show has been rumored for years. It even predates Kurtzman. They wanted to do an academy. But I'll give you a teeny inside dope. It gets worse. Now, it mentions this in an article. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'll save it for, we'll probably talk about it on Friday Night Tights. It's going to take place in the Discovery timeline. Oh, no. Well, that's DOA. And part of the thing with the pitch, this is the inside dope, is they want it to be the Hogwarts of Star Trek. Oh, God, it makes me cringe. Oh. Hollywood is dumb. Hollywood is stupid. It's filled with a lot of really, really dumb rich people who just like to set money on fire. And running this by even your average Star Trek fan. Now, I would stay away probably from the Tumblr refugees on Twitter, but just regular people. Even somebody who might mildly like Discovery would go, are you sure? This is what you want to go with? Not Star Trek Legacy, maybe? No? Okay. Well, so as I said, for every single review, and I'll say it again, Star Trek Picard Season 3 is an anomaly. Alex Kurtzman was not pulled off it. He fucked off. He didn't care. He was working on The Man Who Fell to Earth. Robert Meyer Burnett's talked about this, and others have confirmed this. He had nothing to do other than hiring or putting Terry Matalas in place, hiring Terry Matalas and putting him in place, and that's it. Fucked off. Didn't care. Picard isn't being renewed there unless something drastic changes, and this is just purely my speculation. Don't think we're getting a spinoff. Nothing. So if Picard season 3 saved Kurtzman Trek, who's under contract for 3 more years, then wouldn't they spin off a Picard show? That's like Strange New Worlds got renewed for season 3 as well. This was all in the works well before Picard season 3 came out. So Picard season 3 is an anomaly. It's something we never thought we were going to get. It's the dessert we never thought we were going to get. It's not the greatest Star Trek ever made. I'm just repeating myself. Sorry for people who've heard this before. But it's the best we're going to get. And it's over after that. Does Kurtzman get renewed at some point? I wouldn't put it beyond the idiots who make these decisions at all. Nothing would surprise me at this point. But let's consider a couple of other factors. Let's go to, I believe, August of 2022. As Paramount forecasts $1.8 billion in streaming losses this year, Wall Street grades earnings. Let's go to 1 month ago. Paramount streaming losses widened to $575 million. That's $500 million to you and me, even as it tops 77 million subscribers. So subscribers going up, money going down. Wow. I wonder how long that can last in this environment. And I'm not a black pill person. We're going to survive. Okay. We're going to make it. It's going to be rough. We're in for a rough time. We're in a recession, even though they just changed the definition. We're in it. We've been in it for about a year. And we will continue to be in it. Not going to get into the pop culture. Not going to get into the reasons for that, but like you tend to kick the can down the road far enough, you run out of road. That's pretty much it. Top Gun Maverick helped grow its flagship Paramount Plus streaming to 56 million subs alone. Top Gun Maverick. As CEO Bob Iger vowed to return the company to earnings growth in 2024. That's next year, buddy. Oh, Bobby Beckish. You know, you'd be doing a lot better if you had good Star Trek. I promise you, nobody's going back and binge watching Star Trek Discovery season 1 through 4. They're not binge watching Picard season 1 and 2. So many people are like, do I need to watch Picard season 1 and 2? No. If you haven't, you're so much better off. Lower Decks, I don't even consider Lower Decks anything real. It's just a stupid adult cartoon. Prodigy is a dumb kid show. That's not what Star Trek is. And they just don't know. Star Trek is a niche franchise and should stay one, but it used to be a very profitable niche franchise, and they tried to make it something it wasn't. Star Wars, basically. I believe that good storytelling can eventually make it to most of the general public. Star Trek might not be your thing. Lord of the Rings might not be your thing. Genre might not be your thing. And that's okay. But what's going to happen is genre will be the most affected over the next 2 years. So back in November, I had, was it November? Yeah, it was right around Thanksgiving, right around Thanksgiving. I had the great pleasure of hanging out with Chris Gore in the belly of the beast. We did a panel at the LA Comic-Con called Why 99% of Films Are Garbage. And we didn't get protested. We had a packed house. Not everybody agreed with us, but they listened. That's how conversations start. So hail to Chris Gore for making that happen. That was legendary. And not just because I'm not sure if I contributed anything, but the conversation was had. And that's important because I talked to some of Chris's buddies who work in the industry, and they're just like blue collar, lunch pail guys, you know, who go to work there. And I heard back then, Hollywood's out of money. You're going to see a lot of things canceled. You're going to see a lot of things. They're trying to push things ahead because they have a strike coming up in 6 weeks, which I'm all for. Strike. It's really good to strike during an economic downturn. That is just really smart. Really, really smart. I mean, it wouldn't give anybody an excuse to fire you. I mean, look at Disney right now. What a disaster. By the way, Perry's working on a banger. I mean, his editing. You will decide if what I have to say is a banger. I'm never sure. But his editing, banger. Banger. His clips for this one, don't miss that opening. Don't miss it. Stupid Stream Deck thing isn't working right now. Well, Garrett changed something. I didn't pay attention, so I'll blame myself. I'm a boomer. I'm back. So let's talk about Star Trek. Let's talk about this. There's not much to talk about. There's some moments in it I liked, and there's a couple of cringe moments, but it's not cringe because Sidney LaForge is beating the crap out of a giant changeling who's like a 300-pound stuntman. Then she's running off and pushing Picard out of the captain's chair, or Shaw out of the captain's chair. She isn't saying things like, well, there's too many tiny male brains around here, which was said in Star Trek Discovery Season 2 or 1. I get it mixed up. I get the bad mixed up. There isn't any severed Klingon baby heads, and there isn't any special needs Kelpians who melded with dilithium, crying for their mommy, and destroying every ship in the universe. I wish I was joking about that. That's Star Trek Discovery. There isn't Picard running. He does apologize in this one. And I was still like, but there isn't the Picard Starfleet apology tour. And basically, it's not intersectional and it's not woke. That doesn't necessarily just automatically make something good. Just doesn't. It rebounds. It definitely rebounds. I've seen all the episodes, and it gets back to being fun because it was like there's dark tones to this, but it's been pretty fun. This one's just dark. Yes, the ship is dark, but I more have a problem with dark tones than anything else. But, you know, maybe they're treating it like a mixtape. They're taking it down a little bit and going to bring it up because it sticks the landing. It sticks the landing. So hang in there. All right. So they are in the Chintoka scrapyard. They being the Titan, they are on the run. They got 36 hours till, and I don't have, okay, usually I use my backing boards because I'm a good little hippie and I recycle shit. I'm not a fucking hippie. You kidding me? But like for backing and boards, I use the boards for my bullet points for videos or reviews. I'm just using my notebook, my little Nerdrotic notebook. My wife put that sticker on. Thought it was cute. So that's what I'm using. That's what I'm going to be looking at. Those of you just listening, you're probably bored by all that, and I apologize. So Picard and Beverly are having a moral discussion, very Star Trek moral discussion about, I think Geordi's there too, about finding a way to target the changelings. The changelings have infiltrated Starfleet. And, you know, I highly doubt Terry Matalas meant for this, but I can't help but think this whole storyline is about changelings pretending to be Starfleet, infiltrating and corrupting Starfleet. And I'm like, wow, that's an analogy for something. What is it an analogy for? Oh, Kurtzman Trek. I'm sure that's just my imagination. That's all I'm going to say. It's just my imagination. So they want to target. They want to find a way to target. So they want to get some of their DNA or whatever. They need to find something so they can figure them out. And what Beverly is worried about, and this is a very Star Trek question, is if we target this species, it could lead to genocide. Yes. Picard says, we're kind of in danger now, so we need to worry about the moral quandaries later. Let's just see if we can even do this. So she's working on it. They need more information about like why they stole Picard's body. They being the changelings from Daystrom Institute. And Geordi's like, I know a guy. And they just brought on the hybrid data, which is an aged up version. And hybrid data has a bit of before, a bit of soon, a bit of lore, and a bit of data. Now, obviously, they've got data and lore partitioned off in the positronic brain. And I can see what they're like. What they're moving is like if they want to make data human, you got to put the good with the bad. They're going to have to meld it. So that's where that was going. Part of being human, taken as melding their consciousness, and seeing we're not sure if it's going to work at this point. We're not, but they need to get the information because data was basically the backup computer for Section 31's Daystrom Institute, and of course we know. And they were talking about this on Hot Toys today. So it makes me think of it. Section 31 from Star Trek Discovery that's got its own badges. They have their own credit card, their own discount card. They happily post the Employee of the Month all over Starfleet facilities. You know, the very secret organization known as Section 31 with badges. Oh. So we have, Sydney, like my writing is terrible. Sydney LaForge, very cute young lady, and Jacques are in the lift, and he's hitting on her. All right, good lad. But he can hear her thoughts now. And we're like, what's up with that? You find out what's up with that, but at this point you're like, what's up with that? So she's like asking, is he hitting on me? You know, what's going on here? More on that. So Jack finally goes to talk to Picard and says, listen, I feel terrible about Riker. I'm tired of all these people dying and suffering for me. Like, I just want to... It seems like we're just always on the run, and like, this is a no-win situation. Like, F this. I can't do it anymore. And Picard's like, what if we had the advantage? So what they do is they send out a false signal to the Shrike. Oh, well, let me not get too far ahead of myself. Amanda Plummer. There's parts of this episode when she's toned down, she's fine. Amanda Plummer was great in Fisher King. Absolutely great. And I think she's great at certain roles, especially playing like crazy people. But I don't know how intimidating she is. I don't find her that intimidating. But when she's toned down, she's fine. But when she's doing this overacting thing, it's a little cringe. It's a little cringe. So it looks to me like she just hadn't got a grasp on this role. But there are moments where it's fine, and we'll get to those. But then there's other moments like she's all, twirling a mustache and stuff, and it's just kind of stop. It's not necessary. So she talks to the hand. Now, she's been cutting off her hand, and globby mastermind shows up and basically says, I don't give a shit what you think. what you want. You need to get Jack, and you need to get Jack now, or you're dead, basically. I'm paraphrasing. So we know now completely, I mean, we've suspected this, that Vadic is not the big bad. Vadic is just a henchman being used, a radical being used. That's really unusual. A useful idiot radical who's driven by rage and revenge. Very easy to manipulate. Very, very easy to manipulate. So, she's clearly frightened by the globular head from her hand, and she basically gets a fake distress call. We're going to just say fake distress call. And she decides to go to the Titan. The Titan basically set a trap to capture Vadic and whatever changelings decide to board. That's Picard's big idea. Doop-a-doop, boop, boop. This is where things get mildly silly. Mildly silly. I'm fine with the trap. Setting up the trap makes sense. It's what they do with it. And it's basically set there so you get tons of exposition. I'm fine with some of this exposition. Not so fine with others. But first we'll get to what they decide, how they decide to lure Vadic in. So Vadic goes on a shuttle, does not beam aboard. This is the second time it's mentioned because it's important. And Vadic arrives, finds Jack. Jack runs. Jack is with Sydney, and they want to lure Vadic and the hench changelings and trap them in force fields in the corridors. Very much a bottle episode, by the way, which is what they do. So they can't shoot and kill Jack. They just can't. They can't shoot and kill Jack. But they could certainly shoot everybody else. And one changeling has Sydney like dead to rights. And I'm like, why aren't you shooting her in the head? And I thought for a second they would. I'm like, LaForge has 2 daughters. They've been setting this one up. Very tragic if he lost one during this battle. And I almost think that would have been a better idea. Especially Jack just hitting on her. And yeah, I like Sydney LaForge. She's adorable, but sometimes characters need to die for dramatic effect. She doesn't die. So everybody gets trapped. And while Geordi's trying to figure out where Picard's body is, Lore takes over, and he starts taking over the ship. In the meantime, they do trap Vadic, and that is when Picard and Beverly interrogate her, and that's where we get these just exposition dump with flashbacks and everything. Voiceover flashbacks and everything. And we find out that at Daystrom Institute, the Section 31 was experimenting on changelings. We also find out that the antidote, Vadic lets Picard know that the antidote that was given to the changelings was indeed stolen. Starfleet had voted against giving it to them. And Picard said he didn't know, and he apologizes. I mean, just taking what she's saying at face value, like, she could be lying, you know. But she gives this whole, like, it shows what, it's Amanda Plummer's character is a doctor. I'm assuming a doctor or a scientist or a researcher at Daystrom Institute, torturing and like putting the test tubes, like cutting into them, burning them, do all kinds of crazy stuff. They were trying and they evolved through this. They were what Section 31 was using them was for weapons. They wanted to create changelings that could infiltrate any society, alien race, and create chaos. So the CIA, basically, or FBI. Take your pick. Take your pick of any government alphabet organization. Starfleet. The torture of them and turning them into like radicals, I don't have a problem with. I wish it were explained that this was like a rogue doctor in some way. I just have a problem with Starfleet signing off on this. I really do. I do. But again, I think that could be fixed. That could have been fixed. Could have been fixed, but it wasn't. So that's why they are radicalized and easily manipulated by this other external force that wants to destroy Starfleet. So now we understand the changelings' motivation, as contrived as some of it was, but we don't know what the other motivation is, which we'll find out. All right, so Lore starts messing with the ship, lowers the defenses. Jack is able to not only hear Sydney's thoughts, he's able to control her like an avatar now, and has her, because one of the changelings grabs her and then starts like pounding her head into a force field, and Geordi's watching all this, and he's begging Lore to stop, and he's trying to contact Data's consciousness in Lore, talking and this is the cool part, like where we finally get a Geordi discussing losing his best friend Data, because they tried to make Picard and Data lovers in the first, like this is the proper relationship. These were buds, they were friends, and that LeVar Burton does a very good job in that quick scene, trying to appeal to Lore, to Data within Lore. Doesn't work, which makes it even better that it didn't work. And and Geordi's like, why are you doing this? He's all, same reason the changelings are doing what they do. Same reason you do what you do, to survive. That was pretty good. And he's all, let's level the playing field. So that's when he lowers the defenses. And Jack avatars Sydney. She's like, what did you do? She's able to escape, but she doesn't like punch the changeling in the face and flip him. She's able to just duck, dive, and dodge, like dodgeball, and shoot him in the face. In the face. Sorry, I got Hangover on the mind right now. Gonna watch that. And they get away. By the way, it's called Project Proteus. That's what the experiment was called. And in the meantime, Beverly and Picard are trying to, find out like why they want the body, and we learn what they want Jack for, and it's something else. Vadic says Jack never belonged to you, and you're like, what? Jack never belonged. That's all we know. And then Picard and Beverly are like, we aren't going to get anything out of this woman. She is the minute we invited her on the ship, we invited death. And Picard's all, are we ready to do something that goes against everything we've ever been about? And, Beverly says, I'm losing my moral compass here. And, you understand it as a mom, right? As a parent, this is a little late in the game, but it's a father-son story. And she's ready to just plug her in the head. And they both decide to. And they go to kill her, Vadic, which at this point, I mean, is it a terrible decision? Yeah. Saving your son, Starfleet's in imminent danger. Yeah. I think so. But Lore lowers the defenses, and Vadic gets away. Just in time. And they do pop her a couple times, but it takes... That's the weird thing is, I don't know what the settings are on, but in this episode, it took more than one shot to kill a changeling, which I'm for. But then there's the time where they use the rifles or whatever, and it just vaporized them. So I don't know maybe it's just a difference in weapon. Maybe there's a good explanation for that. So getting to my notes here. Vadic gets away and is able to regroup and does take the bridge of the Titan. Takes the bridge of the Titan. And that's about it. Now, in the beginning of the episode, I mean, you see Tuvok on the thumbnail. It was, I forgot to mention the scene. It's just a quick scene of 7 of 9 talking to Tuvok. They're looking for people to trust to warn Starfleet. And she gives him a little quiz, and he fails. It's a changeling. And we find out that the changelings have infiltrated the very high levels of Starfleet. And at some point, he even morphs into because they asked him what happened to Riker, and he morphs into like a dead version of Riker. But that's the Tuvok cameo. So they have Tuvok. He's still alive because they need him alive for information, but not for long. Not for long. But Tim Russ was in it in the beginning. That's basically the episode. It ends with Vadic calling Jack, get up to the bridge. It's time you learned who you really are. Who you really are. Again, I've never understood filler episodes in 10 episode series. In a 25 episode series, sure. I think I would have just combined it in a way. I don't know. It felt like they're really stretching the story. But the next episode is better, and then it sticks the landing. So let's get to you guys. Yeah, I definitely thought this is 7 and 8 are the weakest episodes. I warned you last week. They're the weakest episodes. But still, the whole series is overall good. I mean, I cannot forget episode 9 of House of the Dragon, when Rhaenys blasts through the floor of the dragon pit to escape, killing hundreds of innocent people. And at that point, King's Landing's F the blacks. I'm Team Green because they didn't kill a bunch of innocent people. So yeah. Yep. All right. So we got a couple new members. Kenneth LaRoca. It's Q-U-E LaRoca. Sorry. I'm ignorant. Kimberly Moore. Both have become new members. Thank you. Brendan Lucas. It says, can't believe such and such from Void doesn't appear in season 3. 7 was showing some real pathos this ep, and I'd like to see her in this character again. Yeah, 7's. That's probably one of the better scenes in the episode. Is 7 interrogating Tuvok. Well, if you get a spinoff, maybe, but I wouldn't hold your breath. I absolutely think things one day will turn around. What this turnaround will look like, I believe, will be very, very different than what we're used to in entertainment. I think it will be greatly fragmented. But I think, we still get good stuff once in a great while. But I'm looking for good original stuff. As far as our franchises are concerned, you know, same question's going to be coming up with Doctor Who here in a few short months. And we'll see. There are many who were thinking The Mandalorian was going to be that turnaround for Star Wars, and we're pushing it for a long, long time. Didn't happen. It didn't happen. Mandalorian's actually gotten worse. It is Obi-Wan bad. Accident Seller for 59 Swedish krona. Great to see my man Tuvok again, but subpar episode, I agree. Why didn't dual phasers from Picard and Beverly kill Vadic? I don't know. And Jack fighting as LaForge was silly. It was. It was downright silly. Ruben Christopher Haynes for $50. Bless you, my friend. Gary, I love all women. I do too. I'm going around Orlando like Richard Dawson kissing. Oh, I don't know about this. Kissing and telling them they are beautiful. We actually talk. They give me their numbers without me asking because I'm a man. These ladies have never met someone like me. Hail! Well, you are the new Richard Dawson. Poor guy will get Me Too'd out of existence these days, but man, we loved him. Andre Antonio Gonzalez Caceres for 75 Uruguayan pesos. Hello, my friend. Sorry, good, but after I realized they destroyed Data and B4 to merge it with lore and make it a villain, quite won't watch the rest of the season 3 of Picard. Well, then you'll miss what happens after that. You'll miss episode 8 where they get into that. But that's your right and is your prerogative. And say IK 1906 for $10. If Star Trek's audience is its existing fame pace and then its new shows aren't picking up new viewers, which I don't believe they are, fans, why is Paramount set on spending money to make new content when this niche IP just costs them money? Well, these are announcements by the production company they hired to do it. They give it the go ahead, but they're dumb. I think the easiest solution is the answer. They're dumb. I mean, they're messing with Kevin Costner, who famously is a pain in the ass and a freaking moron. But your biggest show on TV. Guy wants to renegotiate. But they're looks like he's going to be gone from freaking Yellowstone. That's, I mean, like, you can't get your head around that, but oh well. And again, that guy is famously a dick. So, Peter DeRosa for $9.99. Yeah. Back to that real quick. They do this all the time. I mean, the Acolyte's being made and it's coming out. You know, for Star Wars. They've delayed them all, but I still think we're still going to see Echo because it's been made. Ironheart's been made. When it comes to, like I said earlier in the stream, when it comes to Strange New Worlds, by the way, if somebody wants to blame a show for Star Trek to keep going, that's the show you blame. That's the show you blame. Which I think is garbage. But when it comes to Starfleet Academy and Strange New Worlds, these decisions were made a while ago. I know sometimes the truth can be boring as hell, and I agree, but it's still the truth. And yeah, they're just dumb. They're just dumb. Kurtzman's under contract till 2026. Gary, I love you, but please stop with the spoiler thumbnails. Some of us can't watch the show till we get home after work a 12-hour shift. Peter DeRosa for $9.99. Yeah, did I spoil the last one? Is this my first one? It's been out there for almost 24 hours. But yeah, I was kind of in a hurry. I had to do my own thumbnail today. But did you watch the episode before you watch me? Because I spoil all the episodes. That is a long-standing tradition. When I talk about the stuff, I spoil the hell out of it. But yeah, next time I'll just give you a more generic one. Josh Kelsey for $20. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. And welcome, Traveler, Trevor B. Traveler is our membership level. We have Forbidden Frontier, which returns Sunday because Garrett will be back. Garrett will be back. But I will say this, not to minimize your legitimate complaint. Tuvok's barely in this episode, like barely. I gotta refresh. Give me a moment. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. What do we got coming up? Trigonometry on Friday Night Tights tomorrow. My video will be releasing in the morning, which is about Disney Marvel. Forbidden Frontier on Sunday. Got a lot to do. Vegas is in 27 days. Yeah, I remember going to Las Vegas in 2019 when it was still the Star Trek convention. And yeah, that's the reason I moved it, because the convention still is there, but it's not officially the Star Trek convention, and I have no desire to go back because I got in a little tussle with the guy who runs it. He came up. I was on with the lovely Popcast guys, and he came up, and we had our masks down, and he came and just freaking chewed us out. So when I was walking out the door, I told him what I thought of him. That's all. Might have been a bit salty. But like he just like, instead of going, could you please put your mask on? He just came in and we're like, whoa, dude. Like he looked like he was under a lot of pressure, but still, man. Watch how you talk to somebody. Watch. There we go. All right. Okay. So let's get back to you in chat. If I can even find it. I can find it. Yeah, not the greatest episode. That's why it wasn't like in a rush to review this one. Not in a rush. Yeah, just tell him my beard is a mask. Okay, I should. Gary's been salty. Yeah. It wasn't the Popcast guys. It was Salty Popcast. Why did I say Popcast guys? It's a salty nerd. My bad. My bad. It was great talking to Matthew and Salty. But I got salty with him. Very salty. I just thought, like, being in Vegas and freaking mask restrictions. I'm like, that is so not Vegas. What the fuck has happened to Vegas? Mask restrictions. Except when you're smoking a cigarette or drinking booze. Then you can have your mask off. It was so dumb. It was so dumb. God. Really hated that time so much. Had to cancel one of the meetups because of COVID. Had a great one last year. Can't wait for this one. Lots of stuff coming up. Lots of stuff to announce. That will be a little extra. Hope you like. Yeah, poor gamblers. The poor gamblers had to mask up except when they were smoking and drinking. It's like, but you couldn't go to a gym. Couldn't go to a fucking gym. Ooh. All right, we're gonna wrap this one up. I'm gonna but the changelings brought COVID. They did. They did. Yeah, I thought the whole changelings infiltrating Starfleet and corrupting it. I'm like, it's an analogy for something. And then there's something else that happens, which I don't think it's intentional, but it can certainly, when I point it out, when those episodes happen, you can certainly construe it that way. So there's another really fun analogy that I'm sure I am the only one seeing, but that's okay because I think it's funny. I think it's really funny once you see the episodes, the last two, which are really good. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. All right. I don't know who else is streaming, but go enjoy one of our friends out there. I'll be back tomorrow at 3-ish for Friday Night Tights. The whole gang will be here. Yeah, there's really nothing else to report other than it's going to be a very interesting year. And look for more of this to happen. Like when Hollywood starts going broke and running out of money, there are going to be certain entities within these organizations that are going to try to change shit. And ultimately, it's up to you as a viewer because I would never tell you what to do. I would never tell you what to like. Like that convention I went to in 2019. I had a guy in a full-on Star Trek Discovery cosplay come up, shook my hand, said, love your stuff, completely disagree with you on Star Trek Discovery, but I love your stuff, and that's how fandom's supposed to be. So again, you know, if somebody like lived and breathed Star Trek Discovery, I wouldn't trust their directions to a bathroom, but you can like it. I just try to stay away from blaming the fans. It is the people who paid for this and made these decisions that made them crappy. Ain't the fans' fault. People want to like something, and that's normal. It's freaking normal. I don't get butthurt if somebody doesn't like what I like. Doesn't bother me in the least bit. I'll certainly debate it, but at the end, I don't. It's fine. Mueller didn't like John Wick 4. I freaking loved it. I loved it. I can't wait to watch it again. Surprisingly enough, Mueller and I still speak. Right. And I know some of you have watched Picard Season 3 and don't like it. Fair enough. You watched it. Fair enough. All right. See you next week in the morning. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks for the support. Thanks for supporting Nerdrotic, Nerdrotic Live, Nerdrotic Daily. Garrett thanks you. Perry thanks you. X-Ray Girl thanks you. Mrs. Nerdrotic thanks you. You're wonderful. Thanks to the Modrotics for everything they do. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat and donation. You help keep the lights on, and we will see you next time. Ciao.